Hey guys, my apologies for first of all getting this on so late this morning. I was having some Wi-Fi issues late last night, stayed up super late trying to get that going, um, using my hospital hotspot. Nothing's working. So I don't know if it was the storm last night or what, but things aren't working at home. So got up early, came in to the school, try and get this loaded for you. So my apologies. I'm sorry that it's so late. We're going to talk about it was my hope that maybe you guys were sleeping in with the rain this morning because I could have slept I think all day because it was so calming and peaceful with all the rain this morning. But anyway, today we're going to talk about worker safety and we're going to finish up this chapter. Okay, looking at the calendar, all year we've kind of taken it maybe a little slower than I had planned, and that's been okay. We've worked through it, and I think the material that we've gotten through, you guys fully understand. So that's the main thing. But we're going to scrap the idea of kind of a chapter test or an assessment at the end. Okay, we're going to finish these notes today. You're going to do a review activity, and then we're going to start with a new unit. So I figure you guys will probably all be okay with that. But I want to be able to, rather than using a whole day to do an assessment, that's going to be open book anyway. We're going to start on something new so that way we can expose you to as many terms as we can. Okay. So worker safety. As you probably all know, because many of you work, there are certain laws that keep minors from working long hours and hazardous jobs. Okay, so it protects you from maybe lifting a super heavy patient or a violent patient. Okay, those are a couple of things. Or, as many of you know, it limits how late you can work. Okay, I think minors have to. Up to a certain age, you have to be done by like 8 o'clock, and you can only work so many hours a day. And that varies whether it's a school day or whether it's a weekend, which anymore, I don't know how that works because none of these days are school days. So I don't know if that's changed your work or not. I know some of you, I've seen you a lot working out um, when I've been out, but know that there are laws that protect you guys. Okay. The organization that kind of keeps everyone safe, whether it's a minor or not, um, is what we call OSHA. I think that was a vocab word way back when, so that shouldn't be anything new. Okay. But OSHA is that organization that keeps everybody safe in the work environment. Workplace violence. Okay. Acts of verbal abuse, threats, physical assault, or homicide that occur at work. Okay, these threats, act of violence, verbal abuse, they can come from patients, patients' families, coworkers. Okay, it can come from a variety of people. Zero tolerance policy. This is just simply saying that no one will be allowed to harass or intimidate another employee. Okay. Basically, zero tolerance means that you do it, you're going to be reprimanded, if not fired immediately. Body mechanics. Unfortunately, we're not in the classroom for body mechanics because we were going to take some time and really hit this, but it's the positions that we put our bodies in to reduce injury. Okay, so it's those proper lifting techniques, proper positioning when we're sitting at a desk. And of course, I have horrible body mechanics today as I'm sitting here doing these videos. But it's, the height of the table so that your arms aren't way up here, or, your wrists are super flexed while you're typing all day. Okay, but it's those different positions that we can put ourselves in to keep us as safe as possible. Very important when we're talking about lifting patients, moving patients. Okay, when we get into, when you guys get to Health Science 1, we talk a lot more about that and we do some practicing with different body mechanics. Safety precautions. Okay, it's just basically information about safe use of a piece of equipment. Okay, so I am working on trying to get what we call e-stim machine. Um, it's a big machine that can send electrical stimulation for therapy, for you guys to learn about it and learn about how it's used. I'm working to get that for next year. I'm super excited about it, but that would be something we would have to take major safety precautions on. Okay. Everybody's going to have to learn the safe use of it. And a lot of this stuff is found either on equipment safety labels or in the manual. Okay. But then we're going to have to also take additional precautions and have people practice with it, probably practice on me. So I know that they're not hurting someone else, um, and taking precautions that way with it. Safety check. This, like it sounds, is just a daily check of looking at the equipment and making sure that everything's safe. Okay. Making sure that we're removing safety or hazards. Okay. So looking at to make sure that the wires aren't frayed, making sure that it's not sitting in a pile or a puddle of water. Okay. Removing those hazards that could possibly harm someone. Then the last one, we have just one term talking about patient safety, and that is medical errors. Okay, these are preventable mistakes that can occur at any point. Okay, any re- aspect of the healthcare process. Okay, and may cause harm to the patient. Doesn't necessarily always end in harm, but it could end in harm. Okay, hopefully we catch these medical errors before it harms the patient, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we have those, and these all have to be very, very carefully reported. Okay, and tracked. And this is what medical facilities use to improve their patient care. Okay, so they look at these errors and say, how can we eliminate this? What can we do? A lot of times it involves a bunch of staff education, changes in policies and procedures, but all of those things are to improve the safety of the patient. Okay, that, oh, I'm sorry, there's one more. Misidentification. Okay, misidentification is a huge, huge, huge cause of medical errors. Okay, simply not having the right patient with you because you didn't bother to check their name. Okay, this would be like in the classroom if I had a stack of tests that I was returning, and um, I had to go down to Mrs. Dobson's room for whatever reason, and I was returning tests for her, and I would say, "Oh, I think that's who that is," and I just gave him the test. And then I ended up having all the tests messed up. Nobody got their right test. Well, then everybody would see what their classmates got, which isn't a life or death. It's not going to really cause you harm, but it's still not a good situation. We don't want our grades, flashed all over the place. Okay, so that's the most common probably cause of medical errors is just simply not taking the time to check to make sure that the patient is we have the right patient with the right chart. We check their date of birth, we check their address. Okay, all of those things need to be checked every time we're dealing with a patient or starting a new treatment. That is the end of the chapter. Okay, like I said, we're not going to have a chapter test. We're going to just kind of do a chapter review, which I suppose could be kind of a test, and go through that, and then we're going to move on to something else. Okay. If you have any questions, any problems, let me know. Let me know what I can do for you. I miss you guys all terribly, and I hope to see you really soon.